All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and a sincere salutation to the Akim pushing his truth and sincerity, bahasham, rawchaa, qadash. This is going to be a part 2 to the video that I did earlier this week entitled, "This is Why We Call You the Devil." Now, when you go back into history, American history, you know, and it's very evident that there was slavery going on, okay? And the slavery was aimed towards the so-called Negro. So, you know, us being the Hebrew Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we have reason, okay, through your actions to continue to bring out this truth and call you the devil that the Bible speaks of, all right? You do the bidding of the devil on earth in human form. So I want to go ahead and go into it, because this is what I found, another article. It's entitled 10 Slave Codes That Were Designed to Oppress and Humiliate Black People. All right. I'm going to go ahead and read it because it's kind of a lot. It says, enslaved blacks and Africans did not readily accept slavery. There were many uprisings where white settlers were slain or injured in the South and North. Plantation owners were fearful for their lives from a violent rebellion so much that they came together to create what they called slave codes, a succession of laws, some different by colony, that restricted enslaved people's behavior to control their actions and reduce the chances of an uprising. All right. So these were certain codes that these plantation owners came up with, man, because they were afraid of violent rebellion. Well, yeah, of course, man. You had people in slavery. Of course, you should be afraid. All right, just like you devil should be afraid now. All right. Since the slave codes were inspired by the fear of blacks, it's not surprising that most cruel and inhumane punishments were reserved for those who most rejected slavery. Attempting to raise an insurrection meant certain torture and death, but capital punishment was used for even lesser acts of resistance, such as destroying any stack of rice, corn, or other grain, or setting fire to any tar, kiln, barrels of pitch, tar, turpentine, or rosin, according to encyclopedia.com. You see, they would kill people for just doing that. Free blacks who harbored escapees could be beaten by the slave owner and fined. So yeah, Jake was totally oppressed and humiliated, man. And, you know, so these slave owners came up with these codes, man, to oppress and humiliate Jake. Let's go ahead and read them. And this is why we call you the devil, man. All right, because of your actions. No right to bear arms or self-defense. Blacks were prohibited from possessing weapons or lifting a hand against any white person, even in self-defense. See, in self-defense, man, you couldn't even defend yourself. If caught carrying a gun, the enslaved would receive 39 lashes with the whip and forfeit his weapon. In some places, even free blacks couldn't carry a gun. Wow. Eerily similar to how the police violence is protected by the laws of today, resisting the violence of a slaveholder or overseer granted them the right to kill that enslaved person without fear of prosecution. You see, you devils wouldn't even get prosecuted for without prosecution, man. You wouldn't get prosecuted if you kill somebody. Blacks couldn't even defend themselves. All right. And, the laws have always protect you devils, man. Let's continue. Legal imbalance. An enslaved person accused of a crime, any crime against a white person, was akin to a death sentence. You see, or worse. There was only one side of the story presented in a court of law, and it was not the enslaved persons. And the juries, of course, were all white. Right, that's oppressing. A black enslaved man accused of raping a white woman would almost always be put to death or castrated, while for white men, it was open season on the black woman's body. That's terrible, man. That's terrible. Now tell me that's not some devilish shit, man. You know, a so-called Negro man, he was always guilty, man, before proven innocent. There's only one side of the story. All right. And if he was accused, he could be put to death or castrated, while white men they could do whatever they please with the black woman, and we know a lot of slave owners were having sex with males, man. The gay slave owners, man, they were buck breaking. all right, to lower the morale. All this is to oppress and to humiliate. Travel restrictions. Enslaved people could travel only with written permission from their masters, and any black person in bondage attempting to run away and leave the colony was subject to the death penalty. In the South, those who evaded capture for 20 days or more would be publicly whipped for the first offense, branded with the letter R on the right cheek for the second offense, lose an ear for the third offense, and castrated for the fourth offense. Elsewhere in the Americas, similar cruel punishment were inflicted on blacks, such as the cutting of hamstrings and the splitting of noses. In many places, enslaved blacks who ran away and refused to surrender could be killed without penalty. You see? They could kill blacks for trying to get the hell away from slavery, man. Trying to get freedom. You're going to get killed for that. That's why we call you the devil, man. Let's continue. Slave codes target skin color and gender. In the South from 1776 to 1861, blacks, mulattoes, all right, mixed white and black background, Indians and mestizos, mixed Indian and white parentage, were assumed to be slaves and were treated as such. You see, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man, Israelites, were assumed to be slaves and were treated as such, subject to all so-called slave codes. However, as the U.S. institution progressed, the focus became the enslavement of blacks in particular, right? Because Esau got the perpetual hatred, man, towards Judah, all right? So laws were written to determine the status of human beings by skin color and the status of their mother. That's going off. Because you are who your father is. In Virginia, for example, only a free woman could have free offspring. But if a free white woman tied the knot with an enslaved black man, she had to become the property of her husband's master. Yeah, so these guys invented racism, man. The white man invented racism. Esau. Blacks could be owned but couldn't own a thing. Enslaved blacks were not allowed to own property, as they were considered property. To have ownership of something, even their own name, would be empowering, and the plantation owners were adamant about suppressing any feelings of self-esteem. You see that? You see that? They were adamant about suppressing any feelings of self-esteem. That's what the so-called white man did to the so-called black man. All right? They didn't want no man having any self-esteem, man. All right, so you weren't allowed to own anything, you know. You weren't allowed to defend your cause, man, because anything they did would either humiliate you or it would violently beat you or put you to death, man. You couldn't do anything in slavery, man. All right. No congregating of black people. The slave code prohibited the enslaved from assembling without a white person present for fear they might organize or express support to each other. Right, and these devils you should fear, man. Rightfully so that they would fear the so-called Negroes organizing and getting something going, man. Because you know, with all the shit you did, yeah, I'm surprised these white people didn't sleep with one eye open, man. You see, the Lord's coming, man. All right, you didn't touch the apple of the Lord's eye, man, which are you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. Judah and Israel. Blacks were prohibited from reading and writing. In particularly debilitating move, whites made it illegal for the enslaved to read or write. Anyone operating a school or teaching reading and writing to any African American in Missouri, all right, could be punished by a fine of not less than $500 and up to 6 months in jail. They didn't want nobody reading and writing. They didn't want anybody smart, you know, reading the scriptures, figuring out who they really were. All right, because Esau, according to Psalms 83, he knows who you Israelites are. You hidden ones, hidden in plain sight, especially in the South. So-called Christian values made the Bible the only exception to the no slaves reading laws. So-called Christian values, but you guys are not really the anointed, the Hamashiachim. You know, just a bunch of damn devils. You know, what hast thou to speak the words of the Lord? Prohibited from marrying. You see? Couldn't even get married and have a life, man. You know, you're always in fear of your life, you know, doing whatever the hell they told you. You couldn't defend yourself. You couldn't look at a white man, you know, from fear of death, man. Whites did not recognize marriage between two enslaved people as it made it easier for them to break up a family through selling, right? They didn't want anybody getting any feelings towards a woman, Okay, because in case they had to sell the family off, all right, it would be less problems, from the slaves. In the French colonies, weddings between enslaved blacks had to be carried out only with the master's permission, and it had to be a Catholic wedding to be recognized. See, this is why we call you the devil, man. Black bodies were completely commodified. The more enslaved people violently fought back in rebellion, the greater the severity of the slave codes, right? So the more the people fought back, the harder these codes would get, limiting even more the movements or rights of the oppressed. For example, the enslaved were offered as prizes in raffles. They were put up as wagers in gambling and offered as security for loans, and even dispensed as gifts from one person to another. Anything to degrade them and keep the morale low. You see, and that's what I want to get at. Slave codes, man. And how they humiliated and oppressed the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American, and mainly the so-called Negro, man. All right, let's go into the book of Lamentations first. This is Lamentations 2:15. All that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head and at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, Is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? And that's what these devils would do. They would clap their hands and they hiss. They'd hiss and wag their head, man. They'd clap their hands and they'd be happy, Let's look up that word, hiss. To whistle, to pipe, to hiss as a signal. As a call or in scorn. That's how they would be. They would clap their hands and wag their head, shake their head, SMH, so to speak, and they would clap their hands. They were glad and say, man, is this Jerusalem? Is this a city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? Why? Because they thought that they were given into their hands. All thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. All right, talking about Israel. They hiss and gnash their teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly, this is the day that we look for. We have seen it. Okay, because these heathens know that they have no parts, okay, of salvation with Yahawah, Yahawashi. All right, that's why they made up their own God and called them Jesus Christ. They gnash the teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. All right, they have destroyed Israel, to swallow down, swallow up, engulf, eat up, destroy. 9 times it's used as destroy. Right. We have destroyed her. Certainly, this is the day that we looked for. We have found it. We have seen it. And that's what these devils were saying in these slavery days, man. That's why they instilled these slave codes, because they were basically, making mockery, humiliating the so-called Negro, man, the whole so-called Hispanic, the so-called Native American, saying this is what we look for. We finally here. We finally got them, But you devils are you're not gonna go unpunished, man. All right, just because the Lord did it to us, man, don't mean it's not gonna be done to you. This is let's see, Jeremiah 25:28. And it shall be, if they refuse to take the cup at thine hand to drink, then shalt thou say unto them, Thus saith Yahawah of hosts, ye shall surely drink. For lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name, and should ye be utterly unpunished? Right. So the Lord brought an evil upon Israel, okay, when it went into captivity, okay, under the Babylonians, all right, under the Assyrians and under the Edomites and under all these other heathen nations, their hand had in slavery. He brought an evil upon the city, which is called by what? The Lord's name. And should ye be utterly unpunished? Talking about you damn heathen, man. Mainly you white people. All right. Because this is twofold. Ye shall not be unpunished, for I will call for a sword upon all the inhabitants of the earth, saith Yahawah of hosts. Right. Right. The Lord's going to call for a sword, man. The Lord's bringing a judgment. Okay. Let me get this real quick. This is Isaiah 34:1. Come near, ye nations, to hear, and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and is a fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them, and he hath delivered them to the slaughter. All right, the Lord's going to deliver you, you nations and your armies, to the slaughter, man. All right, so hearken all ye heathen, man, and all ye people of the earth, man. Yahawah bahasham Yahawashi is not going to let his people go without getting the recompense, without getting the revenge, man. All right, believe that. Okay, you were not given into the Lord's hands to totally consume. It was a punishment for what we had done. Okay, you see. Continue, man. Get a couple more scriptures. Let's see. This is Obadiah 1:15. For the day of Yahawah is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. As thou hast done. All right. All you oppressing little moves and your little slave codes. We're gonna have slave codes in the kingdom too, man. All right, our slave codes are gonna be so we're gonna have that spiritual power. So it's gonna be, you're not gonna be able to even think about doing any wickedness, man. It ain't gonna be no carnal. It's gonna be some spiritual eyes on you at all times, man. You think you got, the eye in the sky? Hey, man, when we get into power, man, there's gonna be total subjection, man. There'll be 2 times. The scriptures say, double unto her, man, double unto these damn Edomites, man, and their nations and their kingdoms that they built, double unto what they did in their kingdom and their rulership, double unto what they did unto them. That's what we're gonna do, man. It's gonna be turned upon your own head, man. That's your reward for what you did. Hey, you're gonna be rewarded in the same way, man. Double. All right. This is what we call you the devil, man, for the things that you have done. But you don't know what this Bible is about, and you don't know, man. You done perverted the truth, and you done hid who we really were, and you had us in captivity. But the Lord is revealing that we are the true biblical Israelites, and we are here back on our feet, okay, prophesying the downfall, okay, of your kingdom. And the Lord has given us the spirit, okay, to call his nation together, call his people. Lord willing, we be the elect, we be the people, the children of the Lord, who are being raised up out of all these millions of Israelites upon the earth. What you're seeing is a global awakening of the Lord's people, okay? It's a beautiful sight, man. But to you devils, man, and this is part of the Lord's story, it's like a saga. You are going to receive what you did, because you were really made to just be the wicked of the earth, okay? And the Lord can do what he pleases, man. It is his movie. This is Ezekiel 35:11. Therefore, as I live, saith Yahawah thy power, I will even do according to thine anger and according to thine envy, okay? According to your anger and your envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them. Because really, y'all some haters, man. And I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee, okay? The Lord's going to judge you, man. And thou shalt know that I am the Yahawah, and that I have heard all thy blasphemies which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Israel, okay? The Lord hears all the blasphemies which you spoke against Israelites, okay, saying they are laid desolate, they're given us to consume, right? You believe, when you push that ideology upon the world, that y'all are better, y'all, and that y'all are we were made to serve you, when it was the other way around, okay? But this Bible is being played out, okay, and it's going to be seen, okay, who the Lord is dealing with, and it's not dealing with you damn devils, man. Y'all some liars, man. Because of what? Because of what you've done. The Lord has really created you to be the wicked of the earth, okay? There's a good character and there's a bad character in a movie, and this just so happens to be a movie in real life, man, and it's being played out, okay? And you're gonna see the full effects in surround sound, okay? Thus with your mouths ye have boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me. I have heard them. The Lord hears what you devils are doing, man. That crafty counsel y'all are having behind the scenes, and how y'all want to instill martial law and the mark of the beast, and y'all want to come after the men of the Lord and kill as many people as you want and try to set up a new world order. The Lord hears that. The Lord knows all about it. All right. Let's see. A couple more scriptures. I think I'm going to close it out. Let's see. You know what? Let me just finish it off right here. It says 14 verse, Ezekiel 35 and 14. Thus saith Yahawah thy power, when the whole earth rejoiceth, I will make thee desolate. All right. When the Lord comes back, man, you devils are going to go into captivity, and y'all going to get put in a real low state, and y'all are not going to have nothing, man. Y'all going to be flat broke. All right. Dirty and in chains, you and all your children, man. As thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate, so will I do unto thee. You see? At the inheritance of the house of Israel, man. Y'all try to be the rulers of the earth. Okay, y'all try to be God's chosen people. Y'all try to have all the riches and try to claim that you guys were the chosen of the Lord. But you know what? Scriptures tell you, man, because so will I do unto thee. Thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, and all Idumea. Idumea is the Greek way of saying Edom. Okay, and Esau was in what? Dwell in Mount Seir. Esau, Edom, even all of it, and they shall know that I am Yahawah. Right? So for what you've done, your perpetual actions of hatred, the Lord is gonna judge you. All right, and it's all the Lord's will. It's the Lord's movie. There's nothing that can be done about it. But we're just bringing this out. We're calling you the devil for what you really are, man. All right, and with that, I want to say, Barak the Yahawah, Barak the Yahawashi, Barak the Yahawah, Barak the Yahawashi, Barak the Yahawah, Barak the Yahawashi. Shalom.